Las Vegas, baby. Yes, the Warriors are going to Las Vegas. The Raiders are there for the first game at 11 a.m. Australian time, 1 p.m. New Zealand time. And then the Sharkies taking on the Panthers at 3:30 p.m. in Australia and 5:30 in New Zealand. Well, let's get rocking and rolling. Yes, this is going to be rugby league heaven come Sunday with 4 games in a row, with the Warriors versus the Raiders, Wigan versus Warrington, Gillaroos versus the England side, as for the women, and as well as the Panthers and the Sharkies. So 4 games, 1 day, Allegiant Stadium. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Rugby League, Las Vegas on Sunday. Well, the news headlines have been all out and about, absolutely, with the Hudson Young, Morgan Smithies wrestle. Absolute madness. We will see if they are playing this Sunday. I highly doubt it if they do. Well, that's just rugby league. Whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas is what I would say to that. They should be sacked. Well, not sacked, but dropped from this game. But you would say that as a Warriors fan, you would say that I would be saying that. But if it was for any player, it doesn't matter who they are. If it's the Warriors players, they should not be playing this week. That's the way it is. That is the footy. But anyway, let's have a look at some shock selections, or non-selections you could say, here, of Brian Toho being injured, and we already knew Katoa was injured a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, the shocks of no Talangi, whether that's injury or is it something else, is he hasn't been going hard enough in training. That's the question mark you have to say around him, why he's not in the squad altogether, especially when there's a centre option where he could have gone to centre. Interesting. And the dropping to Mighty Martin, don't get this absolutely dropped. He was dropped sensationally by a lot of people, and a lot of people weren't tipping this half pairing that I tipped. I mean, I wasn't expecting it to happen, but it is happening. Luton Metcalf and Chanel Harris-Tavita. So it could be exciting stuff for the Warriors in 2025. But yes, you've come to the right place to get the preview. Yes, we're going to check out these 2 teams. We're going to check out the 4 teams playing. Look at the team list, who's missing, who's not, what they could do in terms of selections potentially going into the future if you want to strengthen these teams. Well, you're going to find out right here, right now at Barry Charles Footy Show. Yes, welcome back, guys and gals. Yes, we're going to preview Las Vegas, baby. Yes, we're going to look at the Warriors first of all. Yes, we've got the Warriors versus Raiders, 11:30. Oh, it was 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. in New Zealand. So what is happening, folks, right here, right now with the selections? Well, obviously the first shock is Tamani Martin is not on the team altogether. Dropped out. See you later. Dropped completely. Also, so obviously Chanel Harris-Tavita taking the number 6 jersey. A lot of people were not seeing that one coming. That's what I was hoping to happen, and it happened. But it doesn't mean it wasn't a shock selection. And also, Tuapiki coming onto the wing. Roger is on the wing. Do we think that's the right decision? I think Charles Nickel-Clockstay should be playing the wing and have Roger at fullback, in my opinion. I think Roger brings more to the attack, and he's more like the Dylan Edwards, James Tedesco type player. And that is what the Warriors need. And his defensive reads are just a lot better than Charles Nickel-Clockstay, in my opinion. But that's not the way they have selected this team. But it's interesting, especially the halves, potential to have absolute superstar X Factor if they live up to their potential. But it also could come crashing down to earth. Now, just before we get into the team list, I just thought we'd just talk about Luke Metcalf. I've said it a few times on this channel, but my danger for this, if he has a standout season this season for the Warriors, the Sharks will come right in the checkbook, baby. Yeah, we'll bring you back, and he will come back in straight into the team, and they'll drop Will Kennedy. That's where I'm saying. If the Sharks do not win the comp this year, or look like close to going to win the comp, Will Kennedy will be out the back door, and they'll be looking for either a fullback, or they'll put Nico Hines the fullback and bring in a halves. That's the way I see it, and that's why I think Luke Metcalf could be back at the Sharks earlier than what we think. Wow. Watch this space. Let's hope he comes out and says that, oh, I'm going to be a Warrior for life, because that's what the Warriors need him to do if he lives up to his potential, because he could be one of the next superstars in the game. If he can stay on the field, that is obviously, injury concerns is the obvious one. And they do have a lot of backups to Warriors, so that is also good. But anyway, that's enough about saying who should be in, who should be out. Let's actually have a look at this team for the Warriors. So, yep, at fullback, we have Charles Nickel-Klokstad. The wingers, Tane Tuapiki and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. And the centre pairing, Ali, I can't say his last name, so I won't even try to say his last name, and Adam Pompey. So what is the question mark around this back line? Well, as I said, I think Roger should be fullback, but Charles Nickel-Klokstad is not a bad player, don't get me wrong. But he's like sort of just above the Will Kennedy class, but he's not. Again, he's probably not even the top 10 fullbacks in the game, but he's just above Will Kennedy, but that's about it. Nice guy and everything, but he's not a superstar. Let's just put it that way. But he definitely can do a job. But my question marks is defensively, the Warriors. All out attack. If you look at this team, it's pretty much all out attack, but defensively, it just looks like it could be frailty all the way through. Contained to Bicky's little frame handle being on the wing. With Ali both on the same side, it just, I don't know, we will see. Hopefully he proves to be defensively good, because that's what the Warriors need. If they find defensively good Warriors in the back line, then celebrate, they'll be in the top 8. Because honestly, their forward pack is top 8 material, but the back line is not. And that is the question mark that the Warriors will need to answer going forward if they can sort out defensively, because that has been an Achilles heel of the Warriors for many, many years, apart from pretty much 2003. That's been their Achilles heel, so we will see if they can fix up all that. The halves are Chanel Harris-Tavita and Luke Metcalf. What's the dangers here, folks? Is there any danger there? Absolutely. The biggest concerning question mark is, can they direct them around the field? That is the biggest question mark. Is their kicking game good enough for NRL standard? Potentially not. Short kicking game, Chanel Harris-Tavita is good. Luke Metcalf is going to be the longer term kicker. But is it good enough for this level? We will see. That's what will decide games for the Warriors. If they can get there right, boom. And they got a guy in the background lurking around here, Tanner Boyd, who is definitely their game thing. Whether he's world class is another question, and that's probably the question. He's not world class, but he'll be in the Chance Townsend sort of player as Tanner Boyd. That's where I'd put him at. That's where his ability will be potentially in terms of growth. But Cooper Cronk standard, no. That's what the Warriors need. They need a Cooper Cronk standard, Nathan Cleary standard. So Cooper Cronk started the change of the halfback to just into processes, and then now Nathan Cleary has taken that over. But would you say Nathan Cleary and Cooper Cronk in terms of ability are better than Sean Johnson, better than Jonathan Thurston, better than Alan Langer, better than Andrew Johns? No. Simple question, no. On pure talent, no. But in terms of consistency, we will see. Cooper Cronk was the man, and he did it in multiple clubs. But Nathan Cleary was turning into that. But he's not the only player on that team. You got Isaiah, you got Dylan Edwards. You got a whole list of players that are getting consistent. So that is obviously what the Warriors need to find, is their consistency in the number 7. If they can get it, they can deliver a premiership for the Warriors. But the forward pack, the 2 captains was just announced a month ago. What is going to be Mitchie Barnett and the man himself, James Fisher-Harris. What a prop combination. It was already great with Fanua Blake and Mitchell Barnett. But James Fisher-Harris will bring more. They're saying he won't bring as much as Alan Fanua Blake on the field. There's a whole lot of rubbish. Okay, Alan Fanua Blake, I reckon the best go forward player in the comp. But Fisher-Harris will bring line speed to the defence, which Fanua Blake wasn't bringing. He will bring confidence in his other Kiwi players around him with his mana and his respect, which I think Fanua Blake didn't have. That is where the Warriors might bounce back and be a top 18 in 2025, even with the loss of Tohu Harrison And Sean Johnson, not Stacey Jones. Madness. Thinking Stacey Jones is still playing. Well, you just never know what comes out of your mouth sometimes in rugby league. But yes, but Wade England at the hooker position, it's a big season for him, and he is key. I think he's the biggest key just about than Luke Metcalf and the likes. He can control the game. He is a mini Cameron Smith. He is no Cameron Smith, don't get me wrong, but he plays in that type of manner like Cameron Smith does and gives good service out of dummy half. But he's had injury concerns and all that, but he can do a job if he stays fit and he's consistent. If he can do that, the Warriors have a big chance. Then going to the back row of Kurt Capewell. Kurt Capewell and who else was there? Sorry, Aaron Clark at 13. It's going to be an interesting point. Really, it's going to, and Neokora, of course, is the other one. Sorry, I was just trying to figure out who the other person was. It's solid. They'll get a job done. They're all good defensively. Very good. And they can bring some an attack. But the bench is the question mark for the Warriors. It has been a question mark for quite a few years now. How do they get the best? And they need to find the gun. So you got Dylan Walker. He does his job. He's all right. He's plays all over the field. He can start if you need to in many positions. So he's a Mr. Fix-It guy. And then you got Jackson Ford, who I'd arguably would have started in my humble opinion, bring Neokore off the bench. I think that would be a better option. Neokore could bring some attack in the front row, but they've put the two young guns on the bench and hoping they will play 20 minutes each probably to get them around the park. So it's going to be interesting to see how these young guys go. Dimitri Vaimunga and even, I'm going to get this wrong, so I'm going like a Halasima. If these fellas can go to another level, look out. You've got Bunty Afo, who's been a more of an experienced player, but he's been in and out of the team for a long time. And you got Jacob Laban to come back in. So all these four are key as well for the Warriors. If they can get their best ever seasons out of these four players, then they are definitely going to be top 8. But if they don't, they may struggle to make the top 8. As simple as that. Obviously with the halves pairing, it's going to be an interesting season. But who's left out of the side? So obviously Tamari Martin is left out. Jacob Laban's injured. But Tamari Martin's really the only big shock of missing out in terms of who's available. But for the Warriors, Tanner Boyd and Jet Cleary are on the back burner slowly at time. Can Jet Cleary push himself into the team if they struggle later in the year? The question is, we hope not. You hope not if you're a Warriors fan. That he just relaxes in his development and just develops, and maybe he gets New South Wales Cup this year, Jet Cleary, and if he is that good, then he'll be in this team next year. But I don't think push. But if you're good enough, you're ready to go. It doesn't matter about your age. If you're ready, he'll be ready. If the Warriors are struggling, will they put him in? I'm not so sure either is the best option to put him in either if they're losing. You're best to put these players in when you're winning or at the start of the season. So, going to be an interesting go here. They obviously let go of Zion Mayu. So, there was another player in their squad. Sam Healy, it'll be interesting to see how he goes this season. He's another potential player to come into the team. If they want to maybe put Dylan Walker at 13 and have Sam Healy come off the bench and they can still have Aaron Clark on the bench and he can play a lot of positions, would make it a more mobility side team, which maybe the Warriors need to head down going into the future. Well, yes, it's not only just one team, folks. Obviously, we've got to talk about the other side of the table here. The Raiders. Yes, the Canberra Raiders are here. Are they ready to bounce back out and do something? Well, let's hope so. And to be honest, there's not much surprises at all in the Raiders team, to be quite honest with you. So, at fullback, Kaya Weeks. But Samilo Tamale only having a second game on the wing. So he played for the Dragons. This is his first game for the Raiders. He's on the wing. That's probably the only shock if you want to have a shock in this team. With on the other side, Xavier Savage with Matthew Tomoko and Sebastian Chris in the centres, which is a good centre pairing, but they're not stars, but they are solid. And then Ethan Strange and Jamal Fogarty they make up the halves. With Ethan Strange, a lot of people thought he was going to make the team. It was never going to be the case, and we will see how that develops into the future. Looking at the props, Corey Horsburgh, the prop instead of Josh Papali'i, doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, with Joseph Tapane, then Tom Starling in the hooking role, Zach Hoskins and Hudson Young and Morgan Smith, he's at the lock. We will see if those two play. But exciting for Owen Petty. He's going to be on debut. I don't know anything about him. I'm just being completely honest. I'm assuming he's a hooker. Just made the top 30 last week and been pushed into play. So congratulations to him and good luck to him on debut. Which leaves Danny Levi out of the team, doesn't make the team. And then you have Ata Mariota, Josh Papali'i, and Simi Salagi on the bench. So it's very common on bench they've had for a while, most of those players. So it's not a bad team on paper. But you've got the likes of Chevy Stewart, not in the hunt as well, but he's a good player of the future. So there is a few talented players not in the squad, but you can't pick them all. But yes, when you look at this team overall, you'd say the Warriors probably have the better team. But what the Raiders have in terms of consistency when he does play, Jamal Fogarty. He's got one of the best kicking games in the comp. He does. He is one, in terms of game management, he's one of the better ones in the game. Does he have the talent of some other players? No, but in terms of man management, he's up there with the best. Good kicking game, gets him around the park. I mean, he can have bad games because he's not the top, but he's probably above Chad Townsend in my opinion, but sort of in that sort of level, just above Chad Townsend, but not up with the Clearys and the likes. But to me, Fogarty could be the difference if the Raiders are going to win this game. He could just be too good in the kicking game department. But in terms of who's going to win this game, a lot of people are saying the Warriors are going to blow them out. I don't see that happening. I think it'll be a grudge match and it'll be close to the end, and hopefully the Warriors get it done, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders win. But yes, if Smithies and Hudson Young somehow do get pulled out of this game, if NRL are mad enough to do that, then the Warriors should be a shoo-in. But otherwise, it should be a great game, and the Warriors defensively on the back line will be dangerous. But yeah, the Raiders, they got question marks about their back line as well. So it's probably pretty even. The forward packs are pretty even as well. So and the bench could probably give it to the Raiders slightly, but it's not a major difference. So it's gonna be an interesting game. Anyway, let's get to the other game at 3:30 p.m. or 5:30 in New Zealand. Yes, the Penny Panthers taking on the Sharkies. Well, yes. One thing I'd say about this game, folks, is the Sharkies could win the comp, but there's probably one question mark, or you could say two question marks over them. It's Will Kennedy at fullback and Nico Hines at halfback. Will Kennedy's on the top 10 fullbacks in the game. Nico Hines could easily go back to fullback. Put it this way, if Dylan Edwards was in this team, I'd say the Sharks are a shoo-in to win this game and even to win the comp. If you had Dylan Edwards there, I would say the Sharks are good enough to win the comp. But the Panthers would still say, even if you didn't have that, the Panthers would still have Cleary, Yo, Martin, Leota. They still have enough talent in their squad to do damage, regardless if there was hypothetical if Dylan Edwards was injured. But yeah, the Sharkies are a very good side. You could argue maybe they just need a little bit more flexibility on their bench, maybe, but they still got a pretty good bench anyway. But maybe a bit too big, you could argue. That's been my only argument over the Sharkies. But yeah, Will Kennedy to me is going to probably be the thing that cost them winning a premiership, in my opinion. I think they need to look to market, and we will see if they do that. But yes, it's going to be an interesting time in this game of football. On the Panther side, obviously Dane Laurie, comeback last year from the Tigers. Didn't play much game time, but looks like he's set to play more game time in the 14 jump in this season potentially. We will see if that continues because he's still Blaze Talagi to come back into this team, but he's still a handy player to have. And the Panthers, what they do well is they sign a lower class of player and they keep them. So you got Jake Coles there, a young guy in there, but they also got Brad Snyder they can bring in whenever to cover up in Origin time. And that's why they've been doing well out of Origin time. I know they've had Luai to go into 7, but they still have had a Snyder or a Sean O'Sullivan, or they have had a Jack Cogger. They've always had their rotating someone to come in who is good enough, who is quality enough to play NRL, but can do a job for a couple of weeks. So that's what they have done well, and they continue to do well. Yeah, so Talangi missing out, very controversial for sure. Gonna be an interesting battle there. But yes, let's have a look at the team lineups for this game. Well, yes, for the Panthers, Dylan Edwards at fullback, Casey McLean are going to be interesting to see how he goes, and Paul Alamotti on the wing, Luke Garner at centre with Isaac Tuggle. What is happening there, folks? We've got Blaze Talangi out of the team. Doesn't make sense in mine, but that's what they're doing. Jack Cole is number 6. He gets the roll over Blaze. At the moment, this is long term, we will see, with Nathan Cleary at halfback. 8, 9, and Moses Leota and Lindsay Smith are going to be the prop pairing after James Fisher-Harris gone, Mitch Kenny and number 9. But the rest of this is solid. Scott Sorensen, Liam Martin, and Isaiah Yeo, they've been there for the whole time. Just keep on winning, having those 3 there. It's outstanding and the best in the comp, and that's what's going to make them tough to beat again, looking for a 5-peat. You're looking at the bench of the Panthers. It's a little bit different. Dane Laurie there. But Papali'i doesn't get a start. He's on the bench to start off with. Interesting. Eisenhoof and Patea, who's an emerging prop, gets the nod. Obviously, Toho had hamstring injury, so he is out of this game. But it's still a solid squad for the Panthers, even though they lost Luai and James Fisher-Harris. And Taruva, they still have a formidable side. Well, the Sharks, let's have a look at the Sharks lineup. There's no Katoa, who is obviously out for at least half the season, if not the whole season. We will see. But Sam Stonestreet comes straight in with Mulatalo, so they will be the 2 wingers. Will Kennedy at fullback. The centre pairing of Rayman and Iro, with the halves of Trundle and Hines. So there's no, this is a predictable team. Their top 17 is pretty good, the Sharkies. Only Katoa missing, but they have a pretty stable team, and they've had a stable team for quite a while. But they have added some flair. They've added some flair in the prop position, and in Whanua Blake. Absolutely gun signing, and it could be the difference from them being flops down a preliminary final or even a grand final. That's how good he is. Blake Brayley at 9. This is a bit of an interesting one here with Kafusi, and then you got the Neokora, Wilton. They just do their jobs with McInnes, and then the bench of Atkinson, Talakai, Brandon Hammond Llewellyn, and Tom Hazelton. So see how they got 2 props there? Is it too much bigness on the bench? That's my only question mark over that. We will see, because Whanua Black can play longer minutes, so they could have potentially put another second row or more utility-based player there as well. But that's the way they've gone, so we'll be interested to see how that continues going forward. But yeah, the concerns here is Brandon Trindle and Nico Hines and Will Kennedy. Are they going to be consistent against the top teams? They do good against the weak teams, but against the top teams they've struggled. That's where they need to make the movement and do well. But yeah, for me, even though the Panthers normally start slow and the Sharkies are always pretty much consistent early on, I think the consistency of Cleary looking to go on the global stage and make a statement. So I'm going to go Cleary for 7 points, and he's going to get a field goal. But yeah, this is going to be great. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is the preliminary final or potentially grand final come the end of the year. So it might start in Vegas and it might end at grand final time. We will see. But that is the footy for this week in Las Vegas. So the ones that are going over there, congratulations to you if you're already there or on the way there. But otherwise, you can check it all out on Footy, on Fox Sports, KO, Free TV, whatever, Channel 9, whatever you can watch it at. Watch it at the pub. Rugby League is back, baby. Las Vegas bound, and Warriors for the victory.